Namo Devaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today is an auspicious day of Rukmini Dwadasi. So we wanted to have a talk about Rukmini Devi. This is a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, 4th chapter, 74th and 75th verse. Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhattavinda. Vishna Kanta Gana Dekhi Trividha Pakar Eka Lakshmi Gana Pure Mahisi Ganavara Vrajangala Rupa Gara Kanta Gana Sara Shiradika Hite Kanta Ganera Vishtara. The beloved consorts of Lord Krishna are of three kinds. The goddesses of fortune, that's like Lakshmi Devi. The queens, who are actually considered at a higher platform than Lakshmi Devi, and the milkmaids of Vraj, who are considered the foremost, who are the foremost of all, the best. And these consorts all proceed from Radhika. So what Krishnadas Kaviraj is explaining is that Radharani is the source of all of the consorts of Lord Krishna, all of them. So whether it's the gopis, the queens, or the goddesses of fortune, Radharani is the source. So who is Rukmini? Of all Krishna's queens in Dwaka, Rukmini is the first and one of the principal queens. Ultimately, she is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. All of Rukmini's qualities are present in Radharani, although Radharani manifests some qualities that Rukmini doesn't have. So, Rukmini was the daughter of Bhishmaka, the king of Vidarbha. He wanted to marry Rukmini to Krishna. But Rukmi, one of Rukmini's 5 brothers, strongly opposed it. Rukmi was an ambitious prince and envious of Krishna. He instead wanted Rukmini married to his friend Shishupal, who was the crown prince of Chedi and a cousin of Krishna. Shishupal was also friends with Jarasandha, the king of Magad, and Rukmi was aligned with him. So there were a whole bunch of kings who were together and they were inimical to Krishna. So Rukmini actually had fallen in love with Krishna and she longed for Krishna. She had heard about Krishna. When the sages would come, they would glorify Krishna. And both the father, the mother, and the daughter, they were really impressed with Krishna. And Rukmini fell in love. And her virtue, character, charm, and greatness that she had heard about Krishna from the sages and the devotees who had visited. So Rukmini's parents gave in, however, to Rukmi, because he was quite a stubborn prince, stubborn son. But Rukmini, when she overheard this conversation between the parents and Rukmi, that she was to be married to Shishupal, she was horrified. And she wrote a letter to Krishna, and she immediately sent for a Brahmin called Sunanda, who she trusted, and asked him to deliver that letter to Krishna. And this letter actually is in the Bhagavatam. It's the 10th canto of 52nd chapter, 37 verse to 43 verse. And it is every day read in the Dwaka temple. So we can actually, Karuna, would you like to recite that now?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can do it.
Brilliant. And would you like to share, or shall I share?
I can share.
Oh, fantastic. Even better. So this is the letter that she wrote to Krishna.
So shall I read, sing the verse and then someone will read the translation?
Yes, maybe
Or sing the whole thing?
sorry, no, that's a good idea.
Right.
Maybe Sitaram, would you like to read the verse after Karuna has read the sung the Sanskrit?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, go for it, Karuna.
Shri Rukmani Uvacha Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrinvatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivare Harato Angatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimataam Akhilartalabham Tvayachyuta Vishati Chittam Apatrapam Me.
Shri Rukmini said in her letter, as read by the Brahmana, O beauty of the world, having your qualities which enters the ears of those who hears and removes their bodily distress, and having also heard of your beauty, which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see. I have fixed my shameless mind upon you, O Krishna. Haribol Prabhu.
Katva Mukunda Mahati Kulashila Rupa Vidyavayodra Vinadhamabhi Atmatulyam Dhirapatim Kulavati Navrinita Kanya Kalendri Singha Naralokamanu Viramam.
O Mukunda, you are equal only to yourself in lineage, character, beauty, knowledge, usefulness, wealth, and influence. O Lion among men, you delight the mind of all mankind. What aristocratic and marriageable girl of a good family will not choose you as her husband when the proper time has come. Hare Krishna.
Tanme bhavan kalu vrita patirangajayam atmarpitascha bhavatotra vibho videhi Mavirabhagam abhimarshatu chadyara Gomayuvan mrigapate balim abhujaksha.
Therefore, my dear Lord, I have chosen you as my husband, and I surrender myself to you. Please come swiftly, O mighty one, and make me your wife, my dear lotus-eyed Lord. Let Shishupal never touch me, touch the hero's portion, like a jackal stealing the proportion of a lion.
Puruteshta datta niyama vrata deva vipra Guru varchanadi dhiralam bhagavan paresha Aradhito yati kada grajayityapanim Grihanatu me nadamagosha sutadayonye.
If I have sufficiently worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead by pious works, sacrifices, charity, rituals, and vows, and also by worshipping the demigods, brahmanas, and gurus, then may Gadagraja come and take my hand, and not Damagosha's son or anyone else.
शुभविनी त्वमजितो ध्वने हने विदर्भान् गुप्तसमित्य प्रीतना प्रतिभिः परितः निर्मत्य चेद्य मगधेन्द्रबलं प्रसह्य मां राक्षसेन विधिनो त्वः वीर्यशूर्का.
O unconquerable one, tomorrow when my marriage ceremony is about to begin, you should arrive unseen in Vidarbha and surround yourself with the leaders of your army. Then crush the forces of Chaitya and Magadendra and marry me in the Rakshasa style, winning me with your valor.
अन्तःपुरान्तरचरीन्द्रनिहत्य बन्धून् त्वमुद्वहे कथमिति प्रवदाम्युपायम्. पूर्वे दूरस्ति महति कुलदेवयात्रा यस्यां बहिर्नववधूर्गिरिजामुपेया.
Since I will be staying within the inner chambers of the palace, you may wonder, how can I carry you away without killing some of your relatives? But I shall tell you away on the day before the marriage. There is a grand procession to honor the royal family's deity. And in this procession, the now bride goes outside the city to visit goddess Girija.
यस्याङ्घ्रिपङ्कजरजस्नपनं महान्तो वाञ्छन्त्युमापतिरिवात्मा यार्यम्बुजाक्षना लभेय भवत्प्रसादम् जयामसुव्रत कृशान् शतजन्मभिष्या.
O lotus-eyed one, great soul like Lord Shiva, hanker to bask in the dust of your lotus feet, and thereby destroy their ignorance. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then, after 100 of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy.
श्रीमती रुक्मिणी देवी की जय.
Yeah.
की जय.
Beautifully recited, Karuna, and thank you, Sitaram Prabhu, as well. Really amazing to hear that again after such a long time. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, so that was from text number 37 to 43, and truly amazing letter, full of humility and begging the Lord for his mercy. She didn't want to be the bride of Shishupal or anybody else except Krishna. She was very humbly asking. So this Brahman, he reached Krishna, and Krishna had him read the message from Rukmini. Having received the message in Dwarka, he immediately set out for Vidarbha. So he didn't hesitate. He knew this is his queen. So yes, I will rescue you from Shishupal. And Balaram, his elder brother, came with the Yadav army because he knew that there would be trouble from Rukmi. and his associates. Meanwhile, Shishupal was overjoyed at the news from Rukmi, and he also set off for Vidarbha to claim Rukmini. Jarasandh, not so trusting, sent all his allies along because he felt Krishna would certainly come to snatch Rukmini away. They knew Rukmini's loyalty was to Krishna. And also Jarasandh already had quite a few run-ins with Krishna. They didn't like each other very much. So he knew Krishna would come, so he sent his armies. He went himself. Bhishmaka, the father, and Rukmini received the news that Krishna was coming by their respective spies. Bhishmaka secretly approved of Krishna and wished he would take Rukmini. Oh, what happened? There's a bit missing here. Anyway, what happened was on the day of the marriage, actually Krishna hadn't come. No, day before the marriage. And Rukmini was wondering, is he coming? Is he coming? And then she went with the family entourage to pay obeisances to the family deity. And when she was going, she saw Krishna coming on his chariot with the white horses, and he snatched her from the midst of all the princes and the soldiers that were present. He carried her off in his glorious chariot. You can see this chariot so good. So they were reunited, and Rukmini was overjoyed. And Krishna, of course, is self-satisfied anyway, but he showed great joy in snatching Rukmini. And you can see here in this picture, there's chariots following Krishna. So Rukmi and Shishupal and Jarasandh and the armies, they were chasing after Krishna. But Balaram, he and the Yadav army stopped them all. Except Rukmi carried on. He caught up with Krishna and Rukmini. And then there was a fight between Rukmi and Krishna. Of course, Krishna was going to be victorious. But Rukmi used very abusive and offensive words. And he was insulting Rukmini because he knew she wanted to marry Krishna. And Krishna was very angry. Anybody who insults his devotee, he becomes angry. He was about to kill Rukmi. But then Rukmini, being very gentle-hearted, she fell at the lotus feet of Krishna and begged that her brother's life be spared. And Krishna, of course, won't say no to Rukmini. He's generous. But he did punish Rukmi. He punished him by shaving his head and leaving just a few bits of hair on his head, which was really very, very shameful. He let him go free, but it was extremely shameful for a warrior. It's even more shameful than being defeated or killed, rather. There you go. He shaved him off in a very unusual way. And Rukmi decided that he wasn't going to go back to the kingdom. He was going to do tapasya to get his revenge on Krishna. Stay where he was, which he did. And he built a kingdom there, actually. Then Krishna and Rukmini came after that. They came to Madhavpur, Jed, near Porbandar, and they got married. It was a temple for Rukmini, and Krishna exists at this place where there is an annual wedding ceremony. And then later on in Dwarka, Krishna and Rukmini were welcomed with great pomp and ceremony. So this was the wedding that took place. It's Lord Brahma presiding at that place near Porbandar. And this is the temple that's there. It looks a little bit dilapidated. But that's the temple which is dedicated to Rukmini. This is Rukmini and Krishna back in Dwarka. Rukmini wanted Krishna, but along with Krishna, she got a beautiful palace. There are descriptions in the Bhagavatam of the extraordinary opulence of Dwarka, and so many nice children and servants and maidservants, so much affluence. Actually, there is no harm in opulence as long as Krishna is in the center. And for Rukmini, Krishna was always in the center. And we've gone through those descriptions of the opulence in Dwarka, and especially the palaces. There is another instruction from the narration of Rukmini and Krishna in the Bhagavatam. A chaste and faithful wife will follow her husband. If he is in an opulent position, so be it. If by circumstance he falls into a poor condition, still she will stay with him. And sometimes it happens that the poor husband, by the grace of Krishna, becomes opulent. And the example there is of Sudama, who was a poor Brahmin. One day he visited Krishna and he didn't even want anything from Krishna, just wanted to see his dear friend and childhood friend. They were in the same Gurukul, Sandipani Munis, but Krishna gave him so much. There is. Wasn't going to go through that. Then there was another pastime that took place between Rukmini and Krishna and Satyabhama. So one day, Narad Muni tells Satyabhama that Krishna loves Rukmini more than her. And Satyabhama is actually directly incarnation of Krishna. So she became angry. Rukmini was very passive. Satyabhama was turbulent. And she said, no, she believes that Krishna loves her more. Anyway, then they accepted a challenge. Narad Muni somehow concocted that this challenge between Rukmini and also Satyabhama. So they did the challenge. If Krishna loses, then he'll be donated to Narad Muni. If she succeeds, Rukmini, then it'll prove that Krishna loves her the most. So that was Satyabhama, right? Satyabhama did the challenge. So Satyabhama puts all of her wealth on the one side of the scales. So the idea was that Krishna would be heavier or lighter or heavier. I can't remember which one it is. She fails in outweighing Krishna. She fails in, so the jewelry would not outweigh Krishna. So she was losing, Satyabhama was losing. So Satyabhama then actually looked towards Rukmini. What to do in this situation? We're in danger of losing our husband, Krishna. So then Rukmini, very intelligently, just put a tulsi leaf on the wealth that was piled on the tula. And then Krishna gets outweighed by tulsi. There you go. Oh, in fact, even the wealth wasn't there, just tulsi. So tulsi is so dear to Krishna. outweighs Krishna. So in this way, this competition showed how Rukmini is so intelligent, so intelligent. She saved Satyabhama. And Satyabhama realized, yes, she's very, very loving towards Krishna. Her love is great. There's Narad Muni, who's the transcendental troublemaker in this, caused this wonderful pastime to take place. There's also a pastime of the Parijat flower. One time, Satyabhama got a little jealous that the flowers from this flower was given to Rukmini by Krishna, the Parijat flower. So she insisted, I want the whole tree from the heavenly planets, from Indra. So Krishna, good, here we go. Indra planted the Parijat tree, one of the products of the churning of the milk ocean, in his garden. And Narad Muni, who delights in creating wonderful pastime, brought a flower of this tree to Dwarka and gave it to Krishna. He waited to see which of his wives Krishna would give the flower to. He gave it to Rukmini, upon which Narad went to Satyabhama, informing her that he had given Krishna this flower, thinking that he would give it to you, Satyabhama, his favorite wife. But he was amazed that Krishna actually gave it to Rukmini. Satyabhama, known for her great pride in being Krishna's consort, found her jealousy aroused, and so asked Narad what can be done. The sage had advised her to ask Krishna to bring the Parijat tree itself to Dwarka and plant it in her garden. After giving this advice, he informed Indra, he's a real troublemaker, that thieves are about to come and take your Parijat tree. So you better be careful. In the meantime, Krishna was consoling Satyabhama, who was very upset. And she said, I won't be satisfied until you get that tree from Indra's garden. So then Krishna went. He uprooted the tree and he stole it. Mountain and Garud, they escaped with the tree, but Indra, warned by Narad, followed in pursuit, resulting in a fierce battle in which Indra was defeated. And Krishna took the tree to Dwarka. So then Krishna still had the problem of fulfilling the promise to Satyabhama without offending Rukmini. So he solved it by planting the tree in such a position that while its roots and trunks lay within Satyabhama's garden, its branches extended over the adjoining palace of Rukmini, covering it with flowers every day. So both wives were happy. It's a really amazing part. And then there's another pastime in the Bhagavatam. This is given some detail. The Lord decides to play with his beloved wife, Queen Rukmini. He wanted to make her angry. She was never angry, but he made her angry. He playfully asked her, "Why did you want to marry me? I was just a cowherd boy. You could have married kings, Shishupal, Salva, Jarasandha, so many of them." Now, Rukmini, when she heard that, she was shocked. She was thinking, what's Krishna trying to say? Is he going to leave me? She faints. And then Krishna realizes, oh, Rukmini loves me so much. So then he consoled her. Now, Krishna then said to her also, I was only joking. And then when she realized that he was only joking, then he also joked back with the Supreme Lord. He fulfilled the Lord's desire and he became angry and countered all his arguments. So whatever arguments that were given by Krishna, why she should have married somebody else, she counteracted it. And this conversation is there in the 10th canto. Very, very interesting conversation. So, connection between Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka and Vrindavan. 6 Goswamis explain that Radharani manifests as Satyabhama and Chandravali manifests as Rukmini. And the reason for this is that there is a particular mood that is displayed by the queens for the pleasure of Krishna. Radha, or Satyabhama's mood, is to challenge Krishna. You're mine. You're mine. And Rukmini or Chandravali's mood is, I'm yours. You see, there's a difference between you're mine, you'll do what I say. I'm yours, I'll do what you say. So Rukmini's mood was submissive to the Lord. So yesterday Sunil asked a question about why Krishna didn't marry Radha, but married Rukmini. Well, ultimately, Rukmini is an expansion of Radharani. But also, actually, there was an occasion when the cowherd boys were all kidnapped by Brahma for a full year. And Krishna expanded himself as the cowherd boys. So nobody would know that Brahma had kidnapped the cowherd boys for that year. During that year, all the gopis and the gopas, all the gopis got married to the gopas, but all the gopas were actually Krishna himself anyway. So in one sense, Radha and Krishna were married. But in another sense, in order to increase Madhurya Bhav, in order to increase their loving relationships, they have a relationship which is outside of marriage, which has no limits, no restrictions. And it's a little bit concealed and hidden, because this is what Krishna likes. He likes to satisfy the desires of his devotees. And his devotees want to please him in all sorts of different ways. And Krishna allows that to happen. So this is called a parikya bhav. It's like love in an unmarried context. But just because Krishna does it doesn't mean that we can do it, of course. But he does it, not that he needs to do it, because his Atmaram is self-satisfied, doesn't need anything or anyone. But he does it to have loving pastimes with his pure devotees. And Radharani is the greatest amongst his pure devotees. So with Rukmini and Satyabhama, he enjoys a more formal relationship, husband-wife, but king and queen. So it's a little bit formal. With Radharani, it's a relationship with a cowherd girl. And it's a different kind of relationship, different taste, different, more intense, more fulfilling, if you like, fulfilling, even when sometimes Krishna would, in the middle of the night, wake up and call out Radha's name whilst he was lying in bed with Satyabhama or Rukmini. And they would ask, who is Radha? Or he would call out one of the cows' names in the middle of the night. Kalindi. Who's Kalindi? Oh, I miss her so much. Krishna really loved those pastimes in Vrindavan because they were unrestricted. In Dwarka, he was like a king. And as a king, he had so much burden on him. Everybody came and wanted a piece of him. Nobody wanted to love him as such. His queens loved him, but there was always some demand. There was always some demand of him. Whereas in Vrindavan, Krishna was loved for who he is, not a king, but just who he is. A wonderful cowherd boy. That's his eternal occupation. And he loves that, absolutely loves that. And in that mood, it's not one of marriage. It's not one of a formal relationship. It's an informal relationship. It's a more fulfilling, more deeper relationship. I hope that helps, Sunam. Other names of Rukmini, Ruchiranana, one who has a beautiful face like a lotus flower. Vaidharabhi, princess of Vidarbha. Ruchiram Nanam, whose face is charming. Hriya Vritti, Vidha, shy. Sati, exalted of saintly character. Buddhi, possessing intelligence. Lakshana, possessing auspicious bodily markings. Audarya, magnanimous Shila of proper behavior. Sadrisham Bharyanam Yam, ideal wife. Devim, divine goddess. Asita Pangil, the dark-eyed. Mohininim, enchanting. Oh, got more. Mahati, aristocratic. Dhira, sober-minded. Kulavati, of good family. Lakshanabhijana, Lakshanabhigyan, an expert knower of bodily symptoms. Arodita, having rendered devotional service. Mat Paramam Atma Pritas, dedicated exclusively to Krishna. Anavadhyangim, Shobham, of flawless beauty. Suchishmita, sweetly smiling. Vira Roha, of lovely hips. Bimba Phala Adhar, glowing bimba red lips. Shyama, firm breasts. Chalantim Kala Hamsa, walking with the emotion of a royal swan. Sumadhyam, shapely waist. Govinda Hitamanasa, whose mind is stolen by Krishna. Gunashreyam, a repository of all good qualities. Her first son of Rukmini was Padumna. Also born of her were Charudeshna, Shudeshna, and the powerful Charudeha, along with Sucharu, Charugupta, Bhadracharu, Charu Chandra, Vicharu, and Charu. These are the 10 children of Rukmini. She also had a daughter called Charumati. Of all the children, Padumna was the crown prince of Dwarka. This is the temple in Dwarka, very ancient Rukmini temple. This is the entrance. This is the deity of Rukmini. I think that's it. So Rukminidevi ki jai. Okay, any questions, any comments? Sunil, you happy with that explanation about why he was married?
Yes, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Haribol.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much. Rukminidevi ki jai.